Hey mathematics learners, welcome to Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. On today's video tutorial, guys, we are going to be starting off with the grade 12 mathematical literacy paper 2 that was written in November 2022. And in this video tutorial, guys, we're going to be focusing on question 1. And in question 1, guys, in particular question 1.1, we're going to be using these different clocks showing time to answer questions that are given to us. We're going to be answering question 1.2, and question 1.2 basically deals with assembling, right? So we're going to be having a look at the steps that are given to us to assemble a deck chair, right? And we're going to be using those to help us answer these three questions. We're also going to be having a look at question 1.3, and in question 1.3, guys, we are just going to be interpreting this map that is given to us, right? And this is a map of the Northwest, showing national roads leading to towns and cities. Okay, so we're going to be using this map to help us answer these 5 questions that are given to us. So before we get started with today's video tutorial, guys, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Please make sure that you click on that notification bell so that you get notified every single time I upload a new video tutorial, guys. And also don't forget to give this video tutorial a huge thumbs up, because that really goes a long way in helping the channel grow and in helping the channel to reach more learners that want to better their mathematics marks. If you also want a link to this past paper, right, I'll make sure that I put the link down in the description box. Okay, so without any further ado, guys, let's get started with today's video tutorial. Like I mentioned, we're going to be having a look at question 1.1, question 1.2, as well as question 1.3 in this video tutorial. Okay, so let's get started. Question 1.1 says, various clocks indicating time are shown below. Okay, so we are told that these are clocks, different clocks that are given to us showing time, right? We've got like our analog clocks, and we also have our digital clocks here. Okay, so it says that use the information above to answer the questions that follow. Okay, so it says question 1.1.1, which one of the following X, Y, or Z best describes the time displayed on each clock? Right? Is it X, 9 minutes to the next hour? Is it Y, 45 minutes to the next hour? Or is it Z, a quarter to the next hour? So when you basically have a look at all these 8 clocks that are given to us, right? Which description best describes the time that is basically displayed on each of these clocks? So you can see on clock A, right? With clock A, you see that okay, it's you, if you were to read that that time, it's 5:45, right? With clock B, it's 1:45. Clock C, 1:45 as well, right? Clock D, right, it's 4:45. So we can see that if you have a look at all these clocks, they all show that it's 1:45 to a particular hour. Okay, so the best letter that describes the time that is displayed on each clock is Z, right, which is a quarter to the next hour. All right, so we're gonna write that down. Okay, so we said that our letter R, the letter that best describes the time displayed on each clock, right, is Z, because all these clocks basically show that it's quarter to the next hour. Okay, and I explained why. All right, so we're going to write Z. All right, let's have a look at the next question. Question 1.1.2. Name the 2 time formats used to display time on these clocks, right? So when I basically did the intro to this question, right, I did mention that we've got different clocks here, right? And all these different clocks, right, are showing time, obviously, right? And we see that, for example, with these clocks that are basically highlighted in black, those are like digital. Those are digital clocks, right? And then with these colorful clocks that we have here, these clocks that are in circle, right, those are analog clocks, right? So a digital clock, guys, is a clock that simply shows numbers, right? And an analog clock, right, is a clock that is circular, with numbers 1 to 12, and it has two hands, right? Where you have the longer hand and the short hand, right? So in this case, right, they can actually basically, with this question, they'll accept two answers, okay? Because the question is asking us, write or name the two time formats used to display time on these clocks, right? For me, okay, what immediately popped up is that the time formats that are basically used to display time on these clocks, right, is digital, right? Where you've got 12 with the colons 45, that is a digital format, or we can just say an analog format, right? Where you've got your circular clock here, that basic, or your analog clock. So you can either say digital and analog time format, or you can just say a 24-hour format, because we know that with the digital clocks, right, it's like from 00 colon 00 all the way up until 23 colon 59. Okay, so with our digital clock we can go all the way up until 24 hours, but with our analog clock, right, it's just 12 hours, because we only have 1 2 3 all the way up to 12. Okay, so when it comes to just giving an answer for this question, right, we can just say that the two time formats used to display time on these clocks is either an analog or a digital. Analog and digital time format, or you can just say 24-hour time format and a 12-hour time format. Okay, so either one of those answers will be accepted. So I'll write both of them so that you know that both of them are actually accepted. Okay, so to answer this question, you can just say digital and analog time format, or you can say 24-hour and the 12-hour time format. And I explained why it's 24 hours, okay? Because on your digital clocks, or yeah, digital clocks, right, it goes all the way up until 23 point 59, right, which is like 24 hours, okay? Because you know that when it's midnight, right, your clock is basically 0000, okay? So you can just say that, okay, it goes all the way up to 24 hours for your digital, and for your analog it just goes up to 12 hours, okay? So you can either write any of these two answers and they will be marked correct. Okay, it's just 2 marks for that. Okay, so you'll actually get 3 marks for just saying digital and analog, or saying 24-hour and 12-hour time format. Okay, so that's where your marks will go. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. Question 1.1.3. Okay, it says that write down in words the time displayed on clock B. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the clock B, and we're going to have to write down the time that is displayed by clock B in words. Okay, so we can see that this is actually quarter to 1, but it's quarter to 1 when? Is it quarter to 1 in the morning? Is it quarter to 1 in the afternoon, right? So if it's 12:45, then we know that it's actually quarter to 1 in the afternoon. Okay, if it was quarter to 1 in the morning, right, it was just going to be 0:45. Okay, so because now in this case we've got 12:45, then that tells us that we're actually dealing with a time, right, that is in the afternoon. So it's quarter to 1 in the afternoon. Okay, so you get a mark for saying afternoon, right, and also the other mark just goes to you saying it's quarter to 1 in the afternoon. Okay, so that's how they're going to give you your marks there. Okay, so the answer is quarter to 1 in the afternoon. Okay, let's have a look at question 1.1.4. It says write down the number of clocks that clearly indicates a time in the afternoon. Okay, so here they want us to give, right, the number of clocks, right, that indicate a time in the afternoon, right? So if you want a time in the afternoon, guys, that basically means that we're going to be looking for time, right? So it's like 13, 14, 15, okay, 16, okay, 17. That is time in the afternoon. So that's what we're basically going to be looking out for, okay, when we have a look at these clocks. Okay, so let's see. All right, because this one, right, when you look at A, when you look at your analog clocks, right, you can't really say whether it's a time in the afternoon or if it's time in the morning, okay? Because you have to really be there, right, or see whether this clock indicates time in the morning or in the afternoon, okay? But when you look at your digital clocks, right, yeah, it's easy for us to know, right, whether we're dealing with a time in the morning or a time in the afternoon, okay? Because it shows that 24-hour format, okay? So in this case, we can already see that the clocks here that indicate time in the afternoon, right, is what it's B because it's 12:45, okay? Once you go over 12, okay, then it's the afternoon. That's why you'll also see with your teachers, if it is a time that is before 12, right, they'll say morning. But if it's after 12, right, then it's afternoon. Okay, so we know that with B, we're dealing with time in the afternoon. Okay, let's have a look at E. That is also time in the afternoon, 16:45. That's 4 or quarter to 5 in the afternoon. Okay, so that time also indicates time in the afternoon. What about G? G does not indicate a time in the afternoon. It's 7:45. So it's quarter to 8 in the morning. Okay, so that digital clock there, right, or does not tell us about the time in the afternoon. So here, right, the number of clocks that clearly indicates a time in the afternoon, right, we see that it's just 2 clocks. Okay, so we're gonna write that down. Okay, and you will just get 2 marks for that. All right. Let's have a look at the last question. Question 1.1.5 says, convert 16 hours and 45 minutes to minutes, right? So in this case, we can already see that the only thing that we need to convert here is the 16 hours, okay? So we first need to convert these 16 hours to minutes, right? Then once we've converted these 16 hours to minutes, then we can just add the minutes that we'll have to these minutes, okay? To basically get what the total minutes are. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Okay, so we're gonna take what do we already know. Okay, so for question 1.1.5, right? We already know that 1 hour, okay, is equal to 60 minutes. Okay, so this equation is going to help us convert our hours into minutes. Okay, this is our starting point. Okay, we need to use this equation to help us convert. Okay, then we're going to use what I always say in this channel, right? When you want to do your conversions, you always need to ask yourself, what do I want? What do you have? Okay, in this case, we want to convert 16 hours and 45 minutes to minutes, right? And I did explain that in this case, we just want to convert the hours because these 45 minutes are already minutes. So we don't have to worry about that, okay? So we're going to convert these 16 hours into minutes. How do we do that? We're going to take that 16 hours, right? Okay. Then we're going to use this equation that I've basically written for you guys here, right? That 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. Then we're going to multiply by what we want. What do we want? We want our units in minutes, okay? So we're going to multiply it by 60 minutes and then we're going to divide by, okay? What do we have? We've got our units in hours. So you're just going to divide by 1 hour, okay? Then what do you notice here, guys, right? Always put it in fractions so that you see what is canceling, okay? And in this case, you can see that your hours and your hours are canceling. That is just a great way for you guys to see that you're actually doing your calculations correctly, okay? It might seem like it's unnecessary, but it is not. It helps you see that you're actually doing your calculations correctly, okay? So just to repeat here, you multiply it by 60 minutes because you want your units in minutes. I forgot to write minutes there, and you divide by what you have. You've got your units in hours. So that's why I did that there, right? And then if you take 16 hours multiplied by 60 divided by 1, right? 60 divided by 1 is the same as us just saying 16 hours multiplied by 60, right? You will get that you'll have 960 minutes if you punch that into your calculator. However, guys, do not be fooled and think that you're done, right? remember we had to convert 16 hours and 45 minutes to minutes. So what does that mean? Now we've basically converted these 16 hours into minutes, and 16 hours in minutes is 960 minutes. So all that we need to do now is we just need to now add these 960 minutes to these 45 minutes to get what the total minutes are. So in this case, you're going to take, right, therefore 960 minutes, okay, plus these 45 minutes, okay. If you punch that into your calculator, you'll find that you get 1005 minutes. Okay, so 16 hours and 45 minutes converted to minutes is just 1005 minutes. Okay, so that is just out of 2 marks. You'll just get a mark for multiplying that by 60. Your final mark for your final answer of 1005 minutes. Okay, and that is it for question 1.1, guys. Nice and easy, us just interpreting these clocks right and basically answering questions that are given to us. Okay, let us have a look at the next question. Question 1.2, guys, basically deals with assembling, right? Finally, a question that deals with assembling so that you guys can see how they'll structure questions when it comes to these this topic. So please make sure that you pay attention, right, and you see how you're supposed to analyze and answer this question. Okay, so let's see. Question 1.2. Okay, illustrated below are steps and some instructions to assemble a deck chair. To assemble the deck chair, the wooden pieces are joined together using fasteners, right? The fasteners that are used are screws, bolts, washers, and nuts. There are 32 pieces in the packet of fasteners, right? And we're told that each bolt is secured by a nut and a washer. All right. So we are basically told that to assemble this the deck chair, right? The wooden pieces are joined together using fasteners. Okay. So it's very important to just highlight these fasteners that we are told about here, right? We are told that the fasteners are the screws, the bolts, the washers, and the nuts. Okay. Then we are told that there are 32 pieces in the packet of fasteners. Okay, so if you add the screws and you add the bolts and you add the washers and you add the nuts, right, in total, right, there are 32 pieces in a packet. Okay, and then we are told as well that each bolt is secured by a nut as well as a washer. Okay, so these are important things that you guys need to highlight. Like I mentioned, when you're obviously doing your mathematical literacy, okay, because a lot of English is used, you need to highlight the important information that is given to you guys, okay, because it will come in handy when you guys now have to answer questions that are given. Okay, let's have a look here. It says steps to assemble a deck chair. Okay, so we're given this different steps, okay, that you need to follow when you are now assembling this deck chair, right? The first step is that you need to attach the seats using bolts, right? So the B stands for bolts, nuts, the E stands for nuts, and washers, the D stands for washers, to the two front legs. Okay, attach the long brace using the screws. Okay, so we can see here this is the long brace, and they're saying that you need to basically attach this long brace, right, using the screws. So we see that these two fasteners here are screws. Okay, so that basically shows you what's happening. Okay, let's have a look at the next step. It says attach the arms to the two front legs. Okay, using the bolts C, nuts E, and washers D. Okay, so C just stands for bolts. Okay, let's go into step 3. What's step 3 now? You see, they just used A and A, meaning in step 3, we're just screwing on. We just putting on our screws. That's all that we're doing, right? However, in step 2, we put on the bolts, we put on the washers D, and we put on the nuts E. But in step 3, we just put on the screws, okay? And in the last step, step 4, right, the chair is completed, right? And it's completed by just putting on our short base. And how do you put on our short base, guys? We see there, they put the A there. The A just shows that we put what? The screws. Okay, so that's how you're supposed to analyze these assembling questions. Okay, look, read properly. Okay, what is the information telling you? And then we're going to use that to answer questions that are given. We're also given the type of fasteners that are used here, right? We told about the screw. There's 8 screws that are used in total to assemble this deck chair, right? There are 6 bolts that are used. There are X amount of bolts, right? So there's 2 different types of bolts here that are used. But here, we're not given how many bolts. So we need to figure out how many bolts were used here as well, right? Based on the information that is given to us here. And we also told that there are 8 washers used, and we are told that there are 8 nuts used. Okay, nice and easy. Then we are told use the information above to answer the questions that follow. Okay, you're going to use this information to help us answer questions that are given. So let's have a look at the questions. It says, question 1.2.1, determine the number of type C bolts used to assemble the deck chair. Okay, so in this questions, guys, in this question, don't now try to complicate your life and trying to count, okay, how many type C bolts were used. Because if you're going to do that, you are going to just fail dismally. Okay, however, you're going to use the information that is given to us to basically try and figure out, okay, in actuality, how many type C bolts were used. Okay, remember, we were told that there are 32 pieces in the packet of fasteners. Okay, remember, in our packet of fasteners, we were told that it's the screws, it's the bolts, it's the washers, it's the nuts, and in total, those fasteners are 32. Right, we've got 32 pieces, right? And then here we are given further information on the quantity of fasteners that we have. We're told that we've got 8 screws, we've got 6 bolts, we've got X amount of bolts C, okay, and you've got 8 washers, you've got 8 nuts. So how can we now use this information that is given to help us calculate how many type C bolts were used to assemble the chair? All that we need to do, guys, we're going to add the 8 plus the 6 plus the X. X, when I say X, I'm just saying we don't know what it is. It's the unknown. We can even say C plus 8. Plus 8 should give you 32 pieces in total. Okay, so we're going to set up that equation in that way, right? And then our unknown is just going to be symbolized by C, right? And then we're going to solve that equation for C to determine the number of type C bolts that were used to assemble the deck chair. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I did mention that we're just going to take, right? Okay, we know that we've got total number of fasteners, right? Okay, is equal to 8 plus 6 plus, I'm going to say C because you don't know what that is, plus 8 plus 8, right? 8 plus 6 plus C plus 8 plus 8, right? And we already know what the total number of fasteners are because that was given to us as 32. So we're just going to substitute that the total number of fasteners is 32 is equal to. Then here, guys, we're just going to add our like terms, right? 8 plus 6 plus 8 plus 8. So we're going to add 8 plus 6 plus 8 plus 8, right? And that is going to give you 30. And it's 30 plus the C that we still left with here, C. And all that we need to do now is just now solve for C. Okay, how are we going to solve for C, right? To isolate C or to have C on its own, on the right-hand side, we've got a 30 there. So we're going to minus 30 here, right? And if you minus 30 on the right-hand side, guys, you need to also minus 30 on the left-hand side, right? So if you take 32 minus 30, you'll see that, okay? You get 2 is equal to C. So what does this mean? It means that the type C fasteners, okay, that were basically used to assemble the chair is equal to 2, right? And you'll just literally get your 2 marks for that. All right, let's have a look at the next question. Question 1.2.2, state the number of nuts left over after step 1 is completed. Okay, so how can we determine the number of nuts that were left over after step 1 was completed? Okay, so in step 1, guys, we can already see that, okay, we made use of bolts, we made use of washers. Washers are indicated by the D. We made use of nuts. And we also made use of screws, okay, to basically attach the long brace there. Okay, so now the question is basically asking us now, okay, how many nuts were left over after step 1 is completed. Okay, so we already know that the nuts are indicated by our E. Okay, how can we determine that? Okay, in step 1, guys, right, they're indicated that, like I mentioned, we used our bolts, we used our washers, we used our nuts, and we also used the screws. Okay, and from the diagram, okay, we can already see that 6 bolts were used. Okay, and if we can see that 6 bolts were used, why am I actually even saying that 6 bolts were used? Let me just show you something. Okay, from the diagram, you can see that actually 6 bolts were used. Okay, we see that there, that's 1 bolt. Okay, second bolt, third bolt, fourth bolt, sixth bolt. Okay, so we can see there. Okay, let's just erase. So from the diagram, we can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts that were used in total, right? So here we can see that we used 6 bolts, okay, right? And we were given important information here, right? Okay, it got erased. We were told that each bolt is secured, right, by a nut and a washer, right? So in other words, if you basically made use of 6 bolts, right, in the first step, then to secure that bolt or each of those bolts, you would need a washer and you'd also need a nut. So that basically means that if we used 6 bolts, that means that we also used 6 washers and we also used 6 nuts, okay, in step 1. All right. So now going back to the question that was given to us here, right, where they ask us, state the number of nuts left over after step 1 is completed. Okay. So we just want to find how many nuts are left over. Okay, after we've basically completed step 1. Okay, so here what is going to help us is that we already know that in total we've got how many nuts. In total, we can see here, right, we are actually given 8 nuts. So if we've basically used 6 nuts, right, in the first step, that means that, right, the nuts that we have left over, question 1.2.2, right, the nuts left over after step 1 is completed, okay, is equal to the total number of nuts that we had initially, right, which is the 8 nuts minus the number of nuts that we used in the first step, right? And I explained, because we used 6 bolts in the first step, that means that we also used 6 nuts. Why did we use 6 nuts? Because in the intro paragraph, we are told that each bolt is secured by a nut and a washer. So when you basically use a bolt, you need to secure that bolt with what? A nut as well as a washer. Okay, so that is why then in that case we basically minus 6 nuts, okay, that were used. So that basically means that the nuts left over after step 1 is completed is just 8 minus 6, and 8 minus 6, guys, is equal to 2 nuts. So 2 nuts were left over after step 1 was completed. Okay, let's have a look at the last question for question 1.2. It says, name the last piece required to complete the assembly of the deck chair. All right, so here, guys, not going to complicate our life. We're just going to go to the last step. Because why? They want the last piece that is required to complete the assembly. Okay, so when you go to basically the last step here, what do we see? What is the last piece that is added here, right? we see that the last piece of furniture that is added to assemble this deck chair is what? The short base, because they added, that's the last item that they've basically assembled on the chair. Okay, so that is our answer. Okay, question 1.2.3. So the last piece added was the short base. All right, and that is it. Okay, so you'll just get 2 marks for saying short base for question 1.2.3. You'll get 2 marks for saying that there were just 2 nuts that were left. And for question 1.2.1, you'll get 2 marks for showing that you got 2 bolts. All right, and that is it for question 1.2. Let us have a look at question 1.3, right? Question 1.3, guys, we're going to be analyzing this map of the Northwest that is given to us, right? And this map basically shows the national roads leading to towns as well as towns or cities. Okay, what do I mean by this, right? Let's have a look, right? It says that question 1.3 below is a map of Northwest showing destination towns or cities and interleading roads. Okay, so it's a map of the Northwest showing national roads leading to towns or cities, right? And then here, guys, we are given a key. Okay, so when we see that rectangular box that is white, then we know that that basically means or denotes a town or a city. And then when we see that smaller rectangular box, right, with an in something, okay, that basically means that we're dealing with a national road. Okay, so like I mentioned, this map just basically shows your national roads leading to towns. As you can see here, right? If you can see this N4, it leads to Francistown. Okay. The N it's N4, yes. The N14 here, it leads to Uppington, right? From Vryburg, okay, the N12, right, leads to Kimberley. Okay, so it basically just shows your national roads leading to towns and cities. Okay, and we're also given here, right here at the bottom. I'm gonna just quickly zoom in. Okay, here at the bottom, guys, we are given a bar scale. Okay, remember, if you're given a bar scale, that basically means, or a type of a scale, number scale, bar scale, right, line scale, that basically means that if you had to actually measure the distance, maybe from one town to another town here on the map using your ruler, right, then you could be able to measure that, you could be able to convert that measured distance, right, in either millimeters or centimeters to an actual distance in kilometers. Okay, so if you're given a number scale or a line scale here with your map, then you know that, okay, then there's a relationship between the distance on the map, right, with the actual distance in real life. Just take note of that. Okay, and we're also given like a compass here to basically tell us, right, if you're given that day, then you should know that, okay, then I can basically use this to help me determine direction. Let's say, for example, they wanted maybe general direction and so on and so forth. Then you know that if they give you that north there, right, that means that then you can use the naughty elephant sprays. Let me make it in red. Naughty elephant sprays water, right, to probably determine the general direction if they ask for it. Okay, so I think we've analyzed this map. I think we're more than ready to have a look at the questions that are given to us. Question 1.3.1, it says, okay, before that, it says use the map above to answer the questions that follow. Question 1.3.1 says identify the type of scale that is used in the map. So like I mentioned here in the bottom right corner, we are given a scale, right? And this scale looks like this, right? So we've got like bars, right? Where from there to there it says 0 to 20, then so you've got 0 to 20, right? And then it's shaded, and then 20 to 40, and then 80. Okay, so what type of scale is this? Okay, so if you've been watching my video tutorials, you should be able to distinguish between a line scale, between a bar scale, between a number scale. Okay, and this is a bar scale, guys. Okay, because we can see that we've got bars. If you had to zoom that in, right, you'll see that it's actually a bar scale. Okay, right, you see these bars there. Okay, so it is actually a bar scale. Okay, but then you'll sometimes get a map that is like a number scale or a line scale, right? So if it's a number scale, you'll probably have something where it's like 1:50. Okay, so if you're given something like that, maybe at the bottom left or wherever on your map, then you'll know that you're dealing with a number scale, right? Or sometimes you'll be given like a line scale, right, where you're given something like that. Okay, where you'll have like a 0, 20, 40, right? So this is a bar scale, this is a number scale, this is a line scale, right? But when we're looking at what is given to us here in this question, guys, we can see that we're just given a bar scale. Okay, but in your memo, right, if you basically decide to say it's a line scale, it's also okay, right? But guys, let's just be accurate. Okay, this is actually a bar scale. Okay, so question 1.3.1, we see that we are given a bar scale, and I explained why. Right, let's have a look at the next question. Question 1.3.2, it says name the province that lies east of Northwest. Okay, nice and easy, because I've already mentioned this naughty elephant sprays water, right? Then we just need to identify the province that is on the east of the Northwest. Okay, this is Northwest. Okay, this is the Northwest. What province lies east? Okay, so for here, guys, with this question, it just needs you to know what is a province. Okay, and with the different provinces that you have, it's Gauteng, it's Limpopo, it's Mpumalanga, and you can't say the province that lies east maybe is Johannesburg. I'm just saying, right? In this case, you should know what a province is for you to be able to answer this question. And the only province that we are given here, or the province that we can see that lies east of the Northwest, is Gauteng. Okay, so we're just gonna write that down. Okay, that is the province that lies east, right? And then let's have a look at question 1.3.3. It says identify the national roads passing through Vryburg. Okay, like I mentioned, when you're doing maths literacy, guys, you need to have a highlighter. Okay, and look, where is Vryburg? Okay, and we can see there is Vryburg. Okay, so which road, or which national road, passes through Vryburg? Okay, so if this is Vryburg, right? Okay, so if that is Vryburg, that dot that is given to us here, right, indicates Vryburg. Okay, so which roads or national roads pass through Vryburg? We see that we've got the N14 that passes through Vryburg. Do you see that it's passing through Vryburg, right? We've got N14 passing through Vryburg. What other national road passes through Vryburg? We see that we've got that road there, right? And this road, national road, is the N17. Okay, so in this case, we've got the N17 that passes through Vryburg, right? And we also have the N14 that passes through Vryburg. So we're going to write that down. All right, let's have a look at the next question. Okay, so it's the N14 and the N17 that passes through Vryburg. Okay, let's have a look at question 1.3.4. It says, write down the number of destination towns or cities that are shown on the map. Remember, guys, right? With the key that was given to us here, right? We are told that the destination towns or cities are indicated by that rectangular white block. Okay, so we need to now count all these destinations or cities that are indicated in on this map. Okay, so we're going to basically count them and write them down. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we see that in total we've got 7 towns or cities that are shown on the map. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. All right, so we've got 7 towns or cities that are shown on the map. Okay, and let us have a look at the last question. Question 1.3.5. It says measure in millimeters the direct distance as the crow flies from Blomwolf to Lichtenberg. Okay, so if they say to you guys, if you see a question that says as a crow flies, okay, you should understand what this means if you've been watching my video tutorials, right? Okay, so if we're basically flying from Blomwolf, right? This is Blomwolf, guys. Please, when you basically indicating this place, right? You need to basically find the dot where the dot for this place. For example, with Freiburg, okay? With Freiburg, this is the dot for Freiburg. For Stella, this is the dot for Stella. For Mafeking, this is the dot for Mafeking. For Glasdorp, this is the dot for Glasdorp, right? So you need to make sure that with the place, right, it goes with its dot. So don't make a mistake of thinking that you just need to look at this part and then ignore this the dot. Okay, the dot actually goes with the place. Okay, so we need to basically write down or measure the distance in millimeters, okay, from Blomwolf to Lichtenberg. Okay, so where is Blomwolf? Like I mentioned, this is my Blomwolf. I'm just gonna quickly just highlight that. Okay, where is my Lichtenberg, right? Let's just quickly find it on the map. That is Lichtenberg. But remember, guys, we need to find the dots that goes with these places. Okay, the Blomwolf dots, that is the dot there. The Lichtenberg dot, it's there, right? And all that we need to do, guys, literally take your ruler, right, and measure the distance from there to there. And they're telling you to measure the distance in millimeters. Okay, so when you're measuring your distance in millimeters, you need to ensure that you're not using your centimeters. Okay, when you when you're using your ruler. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you guys how you can do this using my digital ruler. Okay, so please note here, right, with my ruler here, my ruler doesn't have the units in millimeters, right? If you want your units in millimeters, guys, the millimeters end is gonna have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on, right? But for me, as you can see, it's just in centimeters. Okay, and then please note, because I'm using a digital copy, my answer is not going to be accurate. Okay, but I'm just using it for the purpose of just explaining this concept to you guys, right? You just literally need to measure the distance from Blomwolf to Lichtenberg with your ruler, right? And you also need to ensure that that distance, right, that you measure is in millimeters and not in centimeters. And to check that your ruler is in millimeters, like I mentioned, it needs to be 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on and so forth. It shouldn't be 1, 2, 3, because if it's in 1, 2, 3, that means that you're measuring in centimeters. Okay, so when you measure there and you have a physical copy, you should be approximately getting 39 millimeters. Okay, but as you can see here with the ruler that I'm using here, you can see that I'm just getting like 4.5 centimeters. So 4.5 centimeters is like this is the same as just saying 45 millimeters. So here, guys, we can just say with my ruler, I'm getting 45 millimeters. But if you have a physical copy, guys, you should be getting 39 millimeters. Okay, approximately plus minus 39 millimeters. Okay, so that is what you're supposed to do. Okay, just literally measure the distance from there to there with your ruler, and that distance should give you 39 millimeters. Okay, right? Like I mentioned, you should just make sure that your ruler is in 10, 20, 30, 40, going up like that, because that basically means that you're measuring in millimeters and not in centimeters. Okay, so we're going to write down that value, but just for the purpose, I'm just going to write down the value that I'm getting from my digital copy. I'm getting 45 centimeters, just so that no one is confused. Okay, so for question 1.3.5, I am getting, so I'm going to write for the digital, okay, I got 4.5 centimeters, which is equivalent to 45 centimeters. However, right, from the memo, if you have a hard copy, right, if if you have a hard copy, okay, you should get 39 millimeters. Okay, right. So how will they mark this question quickly? They'll just get 2 marks for saying 39 centimeters. For question 1.3, point 4, you'll get 2 marks for saying that it's 2 towns. For saying 7 towns, right, in total that we have here on the map, right? Question 1.3.3, that it's N14 and N17 is just 2 marks. Question 1.3.2, saying that the province that lies on the east is Gauteng. Question 1.3.1, that we have a bar scale, okay, that is given to us in this map. Okay, and guys, that is it for question 1.1. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video tutorial. I hope I managed to explain everything to you guys in a way that's simple and straightforward for you guys to understand, right? Please make sure that you've turned on your post notifications so that you guys get notified when I upload the next video tutorial, guys. The next video tutorial, we're going to be analyzing the whole of question 2. So please make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel, guys, and please also make sure that you are please make sure that you've just given this video tutorial a huge thumbs up, because that really helps the channel grow and it helps the channel to reach more learners that want to better their mathematics marks, guys. And I'm just going to close it here, and I'll see you guys on my next upload. That is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. Bye, guys.